Good evening, everyone. Oh, hidden life, vibrant in every atom. Oh, hidden light, shining in every creature. Oh, hidden love, embracing all in oneness. May each who feels himself as one with thee know he is also one with every other. Thank you.
Thank you, Swati. Just a moment, please.
Yogeshvar.
So, a very warm welcome to all of you. Namaskara. My name is Ramesh. I'll be a host for our satsang this evening. Before we start off, our satsang, which is on cultivating inner wealth by Yogeshvar ji, a little introduction about our Yogeshvar ji today. Yogeshvar ji was born in the timeless tradition of Sanatana Dharma with the grace of his gurus. He has a decent level of expertise in the practice and leading of traditional yoga and facilitating self-knowledge in the light of teaching of Vedanta. He follows the traditional methodology according to the Advaita tradition of Sri Shankaracharya of Vedanta, Yoga Sutras of Maharishi Patanjali of Raja Yoga, and the approach of Tamil Siddhas for Hatha and Laya yoga practices. Very interesting. He was known for his yoga program in the Tamil language on Jaya TV from 1999 to 2011. He is a visiting yoga charya for the Advaitam ashram in Bangalore. His way of teaching is usually scientific, the quality and sophistication of the Indian spiritual tradition. So we're looking forward to a very interesting satsang today by Yogeshvar ji. So without much more ado, over to Yogeshvar ji. Namaskaram.
Namaskaram. Thank you, Mr. Ramesh. So I will start with a small Mangalacharanam. Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om. Om Bhadram Garnebhi Shrunuyama Devaha Bhadram Pashyamakshabhiryajatraha Sthirairangai Sastanobihi Yashema Devahitan Yadayuhu Swasti na Indra Vritrashravaha Swasti na Pusha Vishvavedaha Swasti nastarksho Arishtanemihi स्वस्ति नो बृहस्पतिर्दधातु ओम शांति 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 ओम तत्सत Okay, so while recession is looming over the globe, we are going to discuss about cultivation of inner wealth. So before we go into the topic, I want to clarify, inner wealth is not an alternative for outer wealth. Okay, so it is not like you either have outer wealth or have inner wealth. It's not like that. I just told it as a joke about the stock market, but it's not like this jackal that wanted that story we heard. The jackal wanted the crow to. The jackal was trying to catch that bunch of grapes. It was too high. It kept leaping, and then it said, "Oh, this grape is sour," and then it ran away. So it's not that we can't make money or we cannot generate external wealth or all that. Not and because it is too difficult or as an escapism, then you say no inner wealth. So we choose inner wealth instead of external wealth. It's not like that. We are here to understand the equal or even more importance of inner wealth, because cultivating the inner wealth, spiritual wealth, cultivating the inner spiritual wealth is equally and more important than cultivating external wealth. How? We have a discussion in Taittiriya Upanishad. So in Taittiriya Upanishad, it talks about, in Anandavalli, it talks about different levels of Ananda. So why do we want external wealth? For comforts, for acquiring things that we desire, and to get rid of things that we don't want. So wealth is basically command over the various resources. It is not just money. Wealth is, we have so many kinds of Lakshmi, Dhanya Lakshmi, Dhana Lakshmi, Dhairya Lakshmi, all that, right? So even uh, uh, courage is a kind of wealth. Then we have Santana Lakshmi, children are wealth, the relations and friends are wealth. So we have so many kinds of wealth. The concept of Lakshmi in India, in our dharma, is very comprehensive. The concept of wealth in our dharma is very comprehensive, which also includes inner wealth. So here when we are discussing, we have to understand the purpose of wealth. So nothing is desired for its own sake, but it is desired for the sake of the one who acquires it. It is desired for one's own sake. Husband is not dear for husband's sake, but for one's own sake. The wife is not dear to the husband for her own sake, but it's for the husband's own sake. The children are not dear for their sake, but for the one's own sake. So like that, if you see, there is a discussion, Atmanastu Kamaya Sarvam Priyam Bhavati. There is a huge discussion in Brihadaranyaka Upanishad by Yajnavalkya. So, in the same way, the value for wealth is not in wealth itself, but how it contributes to my ananda, how it contributes to my happiness, my contentment, and my shanti ultimately. So even when we are, the wealth is valuable only because it has the power for me to acquire and preserve and enjoy the objects of desire. So that is the only reason the wealth is valuable. So if you say no, wealth is useful for charity, for sharing, for uplifting humanity, so that is also my desire. So it comes under dharma purushartha. So wealth is supporting dharma, right? So in that way, dharma, my purushartha. So basically, wealth is always a means to an end. When wealth becomes an end in itself, then it is a problem. The same applies to inner wealth also. We will come to that. So this discussion in Taittiriya Upanishad about Ananda. So it talks about a youth, a healthy youth, very intelligent youth, who has a full ayush of 100 years and who is of a sound mind and education. That youth owns the entire wealth of this world. All the wealth in this world belongs to him, right? So for that, in this, all these conditions, young, which means all the indriyas and the nervous system and everything is tuned to enjoyments, it can enjoy. And he has access to all the pleasures, and he has access to all the wealth of the world, like not even Elon, it's more than Elon Musk, because he has all the wealth of the world. So, and he is healthy and intelligent. So all the conditions are taken care of. So if you take this as one unit of human happiness, okay, this is one unit of human happiness. 100 times that is the happiness of Manushya Gandharva, is a one level of, is a semi-celestial being. Then 100 times that happiness of that Manushya Gandharva is the happiness of a Deva Gandharva. If you take Deva Gandharva as 100 times that is the happiness of the Surya Deva and all that, the Chandra Loka, Surya Loka, and all the other devas. 100 times that is the happiness of Brahmaji, the creator, all the beings who are living in the Brahmaloka. So like that it comes. In every stage, he says, the same happiness also belongs to the one who is well learned in the Vedas and one who is free from desire. Shrotriyasya akamahasa tasya. No? So he keeps telling that. So we are talking about happiness as an experience. So what is different? What is the difference between the defining difference between this human happiness, the one unit of human happiness, and the happiness of Manusha Gandharva, Deva Gandharva, etc.? It is the nature of the Sukshma Sarira, the subtle body. So we are able to experience, we are able to have this conversation because we have a physical body and all that. So this is the matrix. In this, the hardware, the physical body is the hardware. In this hardware, we have a software. The 5 pranas, the manas, buddhi, chitta, ahankara, the indriyas, and everything is there. Jnana indriya, karma indriya. All of this put together, all the faculties of action, faculties of perception, the vitality, the force of vitality that animates everything. So all this put together with the ego principle and the mind and the thoughts and the knowledge is called Sukshma Sarira. So we know from our Shastras that this Sukshma Sarira can survive the death of the physical body. We know that. Right? This Sukshma Sarira. And this Sukshma Sarira is kept together by what is called as a Karana Sharira, or a causal body, which is of the nature of ignorance. So this basically means the entire experience that we have, objective experience of individuality that we have, is basically an illusion. So it is imagination. So none of this is true. So we will not go into that now. But basically, as an individual, while we are experiencing this dream called life, the whole thing is kept together by a structure of individuality combined with traits and tendencies, traits, faculties kept together around the fulcrum called individuality, the Vijnanamaya, the individuality, the Jiva. So that the whole thing is Sukshma Sarira. So this Sukshma Sarira is different from species to species. The Sukshma Sarira that is available for experience, the Sukshma Sarira has to match the Sthula Sarira. The physical body and the subtle body should match. So if you are going to reincarnate in the body of some other, an animal or something, the quality of your subtle body will change based on the structure of the physical body. So the experienceable subtle body changes, right? So similarly, when a soul departs the physical body and goes into the higher dimensions after death, the afterlife, it goes through Preta Loka. They will read in that that Garuda Puranam and all that, when somebody dies in the house on the 13th day, like that, 16th day, they read that. So in that it comes you go from Preta, from here you go to the Preta Loka, and from there, by the power of the karmas and all the rituals they are doing, they are helping the soul to gain what is called as a Bhuta Sharira, a kind of a vehicle that helps the soul to travel from the soul of the earthbound spirits, from the realm of the earthbound spirits, to another dimension where it is like a stable realm of existence. It goes there, they say Pitruloka or wherever, and also if the person is able to leave the body consciously, like the yogic death, they say, when the soul leaves the body and goes out. So we know from the Shastra that the what you call as the Devayana path. So if you go through the path of the sun, what is called as Urdhvagati, you go into the path of the gods. In the sense, you go into the bright path, and the trajectory is different, the experiences are different. So or you go through the dark path when you're dying as a normal person, and then with the help of the rituals and other things, with the power of the mantras, and the rituals done by your offsprings, by your family or somebody else, it helps you. And also the power of the punya from whatever you have, religious life you have lived, and your karma, good karma, bad karma, everything, you get transported into what is called as Pitru Loka.
May we request everybody to mute their mics, please? Raju Garu.
Right. May I continue? I guess so.
Yes, please.
Yes. So you go and lodge into that dimension, and there, to live in that world, you need a different kind of a body. So you need a different kind of a prakriti. You will have a different kind of a gross body and a subtle body. So the experience of happiness differs not because the level of experience of happiness, the intensity of the experience of happiness, the joy that can be experienced, is not based on the kind of possessions that you have. Rather, it is based on the nature of the body and the quality of the mind and the prana, the subtle body that you have. So that's a very, very vital information that we have here. So, what that Taittiriya Upanishad mentions as one unit of human happiness, that itself is not attainable for almost anybody. It is only theoretical, hypothetical. Who has all the wealth in the world? No, you have wealth, then you don't have health. To have health, wealth, and the right mood and the availability of the resources, every time a desire comes up, it's that kind of ideal condition. The moment a desire comes, all the conditions, inner and outer, everything comes together, and all the resources come together for you to enjoy that object of desire. Can it ever happen? In fact, of thousands of the desires that we have, rarely for one desire, if we are lucky, one or two desires, if we are lucky, we are able to experience it. Again, when we experience it, it does not last very long. A few experiences like this sprinkled throughout our life gives us this sense of hope, the vain hope. Like a dog salivating at the sight of a bone. Adi Shankaracharya explains that when you have this Vishayananda means enjoying an object of desire, like a sensual pleasure, sensory pleasure, right? And deriving happiness from it, joy from it, is like a dog biting a bone, and it keeps biting the bone strongly. And because of that, it suffers some abrasion in its gums, and its own mouth starts bleeding. And it tastes its own blood. This is an example given by Adi Shankaracharya. The dog is tasting his own blood after biting the bone, and then thinks that blood is coming from the bone and enjoying it, and thinking that the bone is giving the happiness. So it is enjoying the bone by investing its own blood. This is the example given for every external object oriented happiness or pleasure that we enjoy. In the example, it is blood. In our experience, everyday experience, every time we enjoy a pleasure, we lose prana, we lose vitality. That is why any person who is very given to enjoying pleasures, they get depleted very fast. No matter what pleasure you enjoy, the nervous system and the sense faculties associated with that enjoyment, they will start getting depleted and getting deteriorated faster. So even if you say, for example, a simple example in our worldly situation is, have you heard about the tasters, the sommelier, wine taster? Bangalore, you have a lot of wineries. So they have a very strict diet regimen. They cannot eat whatever they want. The tasters, official tasters, cannot eat what they want. They have a very strict, very bland diet. And they don't enjoy all kinds of food. So they have to maintain that sensitivity. Maintain that sensitivity in order to perceive the taste of that food item or that wine or whatever in its entirety in a way that is much, much deeper and more broad spectrum than a normal person, their taste faculty has to be very refined. So if they are going to indulge like a common person in all kinds of stimulating tastes, they will lose their sensitivity. That is why a common person cannot be a taster, and a taster has a special kind of he maintains it. Because of the discipline, his sensitivity is maintained. Because of his non-indulgence, the sensitivity of the taste faculty is maintained. Similarly, when it comes to sexual pleasure, because of brahmacharya, the person's virya is maintained. The more you indulge, the more you lose your virya. That is a brahmacharya pratishtayam virya labhaha. And then that virya is converted into ojas, and it is available for the power to control the mind and to deal with your thoughts and to have a better choice over your mental faculties, inner faculties, and have develop. So we see that although external wealth has its uses, has its place in life, inner wealth seems to be spiritually more important, seems to be more relevant for the purpose of happiness. See, external wealth is to just set the conditions, comforts, to be able to promote, propagate dharma and all that. External wealth is important. But when you really want to have a happy, joyful life here, and to have a stable trajectory for the soul after death, then the external wealth doesn't help, unless otherwise how it helps you to develop inner wealth. So all that is relevant here is only inner wealth. So what the inner wealth is something that you can carry with you after death, while the external wealth cannot be carried. There is a very famous Siddha, one of the 18 Siddhas of Tamil Nadu. He's called as Pattinattar, very famous person. So we have a lot of songs from him. So this Pattinattar was a great trader. So he was one of the top traders of his times, and he had a son with a lot of prayers to Lord Shiva. He was a great devotee of Lord Shiva, and he had a son. And they say that it was Lord Shiva himself who came as his son. Or let us say a great yogi from past life was born as his son. And when the son came of age, like a youth, a teenage, like that, he said, Appa, I will go this time for the overseas trade in the ship, and I will make wealth and I will come back. So he was very worried, but then he gave him all the advice and everything, and he said, don't worry. And then he goes and comes back. And after the kid comes back, all the workers were very upset, and they were having a very upset face, and they said, look what your son has done. We don't know, we are really not impressed. And then they were saying, what happened, and they were carrying gunny sacks full of cow dung cakes, this variety, say, cow dung cakes. So they were carrying gunny sacks and gunny sacks full of cow dung cakes. He said, my son, what is this? Have you brought the wealth? All the wealth is there. I have, all these gunny sacks. You have brought so much wealth back. Yes, Papa, I have brought so much wealth back. You will see. But these are all nothing. I have the biggest wealth. The most precious thing I have in this little box. And he gives him a little box. He says, don't look at it now. I will go to the temple and come back. And after that, you can look at it. And, you first check, finish all the accounting of whatever has come there. And then I will come back later. And then after you shower and everything, later you go and look at it. Not long. After you have checked the other gunny sacks, you can go and look at it. He says, okay. And then he keeps that in the altar, the most precious of all wealth that he has brought back. And then he goes. Then he says, what is happening? Why are you guys are all upset? And then he said, look what your son has done. All the gold, whatever you have given him, he has squandered all the money, and he has brought gunny sacks full of cow dung. So what are you saying? And then he goes there and he sees this cow dung cake. He says, What nonsense have you done? He takes a cow dung cake and throws. They show this in the Patinathar movie also, and throws it on the ground. As it breaks, it is, throwing around, emeralds and rubies and pearls and diamonds. And then he understood that all the gunny sacks is full of, he has hidden all these ratnams and all these gems and everything, is immense wealth he has hidden inside the cow dung cake, so that nobody steals it, and uh, it it deceives the pirates on the way, because he has to come through a certain way where famous for pirates. So he had done that, and he said, "Wow, my son is so intelligent, and oh my God, I'm so impressed. There is so much of wealth." And then he was very excited and very proud of his son, and everybody was very happy for his son. And then he suddenly remembered, yeah, but he said, this is all nothing, and he has a much greater wealth, biggest and the most precious wealth in that little box. What can be so valuable and in a small box when compared to so much of wealth? This is already more than what I earned in all my life. And then he goes to the puja room, and then he sees, opens the box, and inside there is a palm leaf and a needle without the ear. That ear of the needle where you put the eye of the needle. It's a needle without that eye hole, a broken needle and a palm leaf. And in the palm leaf, it is written, Kadatra Usiyum Varadakan Kadaivalike. Not even a broken needle will come with you in your final journey. It's written in the palm leaf. He sees that, and because he was a yoga brashta from past life, all his old samskara, his old samskara awakens in him, and he suddenly realizes, he gets that vairagya. And then, like Shastra says, the moment you get vairagya, you become a parivrajaka, the Shastra says. So right there, he renounces everything, hands over everything to his family, and walks out with just a cloth around his hip, and then becomes a mendicant and a yogi, and he is known to become a great Siddha called Patinathar. We have a lot of songs sung by him. So this is to indicate that he understood the limitation of external wealth. He has seen the limit of it. He was the richest man in town. And when the message was given, he took it. And he understood what is more important, what is lasting. Then he went to find out what is more. So when all this will not come with me, then what is the point of having this? And one fine morning, I have to leave all this and go. So, and I have already enough. So now let me focus on gaining what is lasting, what is more lasting. Of course, he is a very educated man, spiritually educated man. All that was required was a change of attitude. The information was already available. No, everybody was living a spiritual life, religious life. In our religion, it is in Sanatana Dharma, every aspect of life, every aspect of the religious life is embedded with the wisdom teachings. Every aspect of the religious life is embedded with spiritual information. It is not just blind faith, and we are not looking for some salvation. It is, we are told what is salvation. We try to understand it, and we are given the tools, spiritual tools like pranayama, japa, and everything. And we are given a vision of the, universal oneness. Everything is embedded in the culture, right? Even barber knows everything is God. Before cutting your hair, he, if you are the first client of the day, he will first worship all his tools, and then, he will touch your top of the head and then make a small prayer, and then he will cut your hair. Traditional barber. Yeah. So this knowledge, the spiritual knowledge, is everywhere. So Patinathar also had it, being a very educated person. But what was required was a change in attitude. So that palm leaf that the sun gave him, that triggered that samskara. So that is where I'm coming. So this samskara is the most important kind of inner wealth that we need to cultivate. So any experience we want to have, any path that we want to take, we want to pursue to success, we need the right samskara, the right vasana, the right conditioning inside, the right software, and the right attitude inside. We see some children, at the age of 4 or 5, they are already great musicians. And there are people who are 60, 40, 50 years old. They've been listening to Kacheri all their life. Still they cannot, they cannot sing Sarigama Padanisa to Shruti. That it's not there, So that samskara. So unless the samskara is there, the person cannot be taught. So they will say there are music teachers who will say, please leave, your kid will not learn music. It's not there in him. He doesn't have the stuff. Don't torture him. Let us find out what he likes. And then that person may be very good in something else, right? So when it comes to inner wealth, we have to develop the right samskara that will allow us to maximize our what is called as ownership of the self. Ownership of the self. This is the term that I have coined. Ownership of the self is basically what we call as the Atma Labham. Atma Labham can be understood in different levels. At the normal functional individual level, this is the most important aspect of inner wealth. This Atma Labham can be understood as the ability to stay on course, the ability to stay on course towards your pursuit, and the ability to choose the right pursuit versus the wrong pursuit. Two things. To choose what is the worthy goal to pursue, the ability to discern a worthy goal to pursue. Am I audible? So the ability to pursue the worthy goal.
Yes, you are very clear and audible.
Right, thank you. So the ability to pursue the goal after I have discerned, I have the right ability to discern what is the worthy goal to pursue, and then to stay on course and not to be carried away by distractions and not to lose heart because the result is not under my control. Sometimes I might succeed, sometimes I may not succeed, sometimes with very less effort I may get great success, sometimes I may have to put much more effort than the average person to get even a little bit of success. So this result of my pursuit is not in my hands. But if I have discerned and understood what is the worthy goal to pursue, I need to keep myself together against success and failure, against distractions, and against this, my own conflicts and uncertainties and the ignorance. Because as an individual, as a jiva, we are what we call as Alpa Medaha, Alpa Shakti. Alpa Shakti means the powers that we can command are minute and nothing compared to the cosmic powers that are available. And the knowledge and the information I have access to is also limited. There are so many, they have been doing research on the brain for decades and still they have not really understood the brain. The cell structure, they are discovering new things every day. They have been telling dark energy, and suddenly they are telling there is no dark energy. Probably it's only effect of gravity over time. That is the latest thing I read about it. So every day we only understand how less we know. So there's always this uncertainty looming. So we have to stick to our goal, our pursuit, despite all the uncertainty. And we must have the strength, inner strength to embrace the uncertainty and pursue the goal and not be carried away by distractions, especially when it comes to our current times. There is something called as what they call I heard about from some person who does AI designing. It's called as in advertising they use, it's called limbic engagement. The purpose of an advertisement or a banner that comes or a software or a billboard or anything in marketing tool is designed to grab your instinctive attention and to somewhere hook into your pleasure principle. There is a pleasure principle inside us, which is driving the reward circuit in the hind brain. This the dopamine pathway, something they say. So that pleasure circuit, what is called as the rat brain, that gets excited. So the whole point of that advertisement is to engage, that is called limbic system. The whole point of that advertisement is to excite your pleasure principle, anandamaya, right? Because that is at the core of all the pursuits. This anandamaya, especially, which is experienced in two contexts. This anandamaya is experienced in the context of pleasure and in the context of sleep. So pleasure is nothing but a kind of sleep when you are in the waking state, where you lose your consciousness within an experience. You're basically losing yourself. Every time you enjoy a pleasure, truly enjoy a pleasure, you are basically losing yourself, right? So Atma Labham, gaining the self, in this case, is in terms of ability to pursue my purushartha, in terms of ability to pursue my goal and stay on course and not be carried away, is to have a very high cultivated level of choice over my pleasure circuit, over my comfort circuit. I like, I don't like. My likes and dislikes. Pleasure also means pain. I can also be controlled through pain. When they are doing this interrogation in secret service, in army and all that, they try to make you succumb and to pain and then make you leak information. They threaten you with pain. So craving for pleasure and aversion to pain. Craving for comfort, aversion to discomfort. This is a very basic survival mechanism. It is very important for self-preservation, yes, but it has to stop at a point where we have to make decisions, where we have to operate our knowledge, objective knowledge, where we have to work on our spiritual growth and cultivate what we are talking as inner wealth, right? So where it cannot decide things. The pleasure circuit is there for a purpose, but what happens is when it takes over the intellect. That is what in Bhagavad Gita, there is a beautiful shloka. It says, Sangat sanjayate kamaha. By association or sankalpa, by wishing. Sangha here means both the sankalpa, that is the want, the desire, and also association. Basically, you are clicking on a window, there is an ad popping and you are clicking like that in the mind, based on your preconditioning and vasana, and a suggestion pops up from your chitta, from your back mind, subconscious or whatever. A suggestion pops up and then you click on it with your intention. So when you touch it, that is sangha, right? You're just sitting, maybe I can have some masala peanuts. An idea comes, or some potato chips idea comes. The moment I say that, the whole samskara of your previous experience of having that snack comes, probably along with the saliva and a little bit of saliva secretion and an urge that comes from the back. So that is the limbic system, pleasure principle, right? So sangha would be clicking on it, getting up, either thinking about, ruminate, thinking about it, imagining it. Okay, then you say, okay, it will not be nice. Okay, I'm not on a video. Maybe I can munch. I'm on mute. I can munch my masala peanuts. And then you either do it or you say, no, I have to listen. So let me listen. I will do it after the class. But then you're dreaming about eating that snack that is waiting for you there in your dining table. And then suddenly you zone out and you come back. Oh, what is he saying? Right? So this happens. So sangaha means this clicking on it, right? Sangat sanjayate kamaha, the desire comes. and the desire is bred, the desire is perpetuated. And the moment the desire is active, there is no guarantee that you will enjoy. At some point of time, the desire will be frustrated. The desire will be will experience blocks. You will have blocks to enjoying that object of desire. Then, when the kama is blocked, the energy flow that wants that object, that rush, right? That becomes anger. Kamat krodaha abhijayate. When anger is there, it is basically raw energy and it hijacks your perception and ability to think. Krodad bhavati sammoha means you lose sight of reality. What becomes very important is to somehow release this anger right now. That inner, what you call as cognitive dissonance, that inner restlessness, the rush. The moment there is a rush inside, all your faculties want to first address that. That is why addict, when you see an addict, they're very restless until they get their fix. Whatever is the addiction, they're just waiting for it. You have seen nowadays, we can see very often, you take the mobile away from the kid, they will throw a huge unimaginable tantrum. When the kid is playing a game, video game, snatch that phone and then see what happens. Do it in private. I have to give a warning because it can really go out of control. That raw energy, it completely, it does not allow you to see what is what and to see things properly. Krodad bhavati sammoha. And because of that attachment and that delusion and covering of the reality, what happens? Smriti vibhrama. Smriti vibhrama means I make wrong associations. Instead of remembering, I will remember the wrong thing at the wrong time. For right now, what is relevant, I will not remember what is relevant. I will remember what is not relevant, because information is the processing of information is directed by my remembering of what I am using the information for, the purpose. I will lose sight of my purpose. Smriti with Brahma. Smriti with Brahma, buddhi nasha. Ability to think clearly and discern and make the right decisions. Buddhi nashat pranashyati. The individual is lost. That is the last. The pranashyati means you lose yourself. The self is completely hijacked. Means you are not available. You are completely at the mercy of the chaos of that emotional tornado that is happening inside. Right? Now, this is the definition of inner poverty. If I have to understand inner wealth, I have to understand what is losing inner wealth. Not having inner, what is inner poverty? We know outside poverty. Outside poverty, we know if I don't have the money or the resource to get what I want, to command the resources that I need for, even for basic survival. I'm not able to food, clothing, shelter. So this is poverty, right? So inner wealth means what? If I have to understand, before understanding what is inner wealth, I have to understand what is inner poverty. Inner poverty is directly understandable. We can directly understand how much of inner poverty I have, how poor I am inside. How to gauge that, how poor I am inside. We can make a, what you call as a quantitative test also we can create. Maybe some psychologists is there. They can create a quantitative test. How often I lose myself in situations. How often I lose myself in random thoughts. How difficult I find to extricate myself from a craving. I experience a craving. How much choice do I have? I will put it like that. How much of choice or helplessness I have over a craving or over an aversion? For example, if I have obsessive compulsive disorder, those people who keep on washing their hands, for every little thing they will wash their hands. So you have an exaggerated perception of dirt, and it becomes you have a very organic kind of a urge to go and wash your hands. It's like you get very restless. And instead of seeing that as a problem and handling the restlessness, you are rushing to satisfy. So your buddhi, your thinking is looking for soap and sanitizer. There are people who have sanitizer in every room in the house. So why? Because the buddhi nasha, the loss of discernment that comes from smriti vibhrama, that comes from basically aversion, an exaggerated aversion to dirt and bacteria, an exaggerated one that is not connected with reality. It is totally connected with their own perception. That is OCD. So what happens? You start acting as dictated by that force. So you lose yourself, OCD. So now one may not be OCD, but one may have different kinds of ways in which an instinctive circuit from inside that is not based on rational thought, that is not based on an established common sense, objectively valid knowledge, but it is completely based on your inner impression or your emotion or or your ego complex or whatever. It's based on an inner condition that is not in alignment with an objective standard. I will put it like that. Based on an inner condition that is not in alignment with an objective standard, that inner condition drives your thinking and drives your actions. You are completely lost into that force of that inner condition. So that is poverty. And what is wealth? How much you are able, that is loss of self. You are losing yourself. The more you lose yourself, the poorer you are. The more you gain yourself, Atma Labha, the more you are able to extricate yourself from inner compulsions, the more you are able to maintain what is called as samatvam, the more choice you will experience, the choice over action. That's what differentiates us from animals. Animal decision making is programmed. So you have to train the animal. It is completely based on training. It is programmed and it is trained. The animal is trained to make certain decisions in a certain way. So we also have that. We have the trained zone where our training takes over, that is required for quick decision making and doing things for efficiency. Yes, but that is not enough for goal setting. That is not enough for value judgments. That is not enough for developing a healthy self-concept. That is not enough for cognitive abilities. This is not enough. So for that, what we need is choice over action. Action is also physical action, mental action. What is mental action? Mental action is when I have to consider the various possibilities and I have to arrive at a decision. What is valuable and allot value, make some value judgment. I am exercising all my faculties, but what is driving my faculties? Are my faculties of thinking and analysis and my knowledge and the information, all this is being used, guided by is it guided by a neutral standard that is not affected by my personal judgment and my personal likes and dislikes, my personal preferences? Or I am tweaking the information according to what is more pleasing for me? Right? That ability to decide. I can do, an action is there. I can do, I need not do, I can do something else. That is the choice over action. For example, a person may have hurt me. I can choose to do things considering the welfare of that person. I can choose to switch off my animosity towards him and practice compassion and genuine love and care. It's possible. Human can do that. Animal cannot do it. I am hungry and I see another person who is more hungry. I can give my food to that person. Human can do that. Animal cannot do that. Gods cannot do that. as a divine being, gods, I'm not talking about the Brahmaloka level, I'm talking about the demigods, the devatas and all that. They are in a sense like animals because they don't have choice. Once you go to Swarga, after your death, once you go to Swarga, it is a realm of pleasure. If you go to Naraka, it is a realm of pain, where you are only having bhoga. So that is why all are bhoga yonis. When you take birth as an animal, any animal, you are a bhoga yoni. So you can only experience, and you don't have choice over action. You cannot decide what to experience, what not to experience. You cannot decide to detach from an experience. That discernment capability is not there. But as a human, we have it. And we can develop what is called viveka. Viveka between what is short-term happiness and what is long-term happiness. Praise and shreyas. We can develop the discernment. And eventually, we can develop the discernment between Atma and Anatma. Atma, Anatma, Viveka. And choose to give up what is Anatma, because I understand Atma is Sachidananda. When I know that, I can decide to have indifference towards all the mediated experiences, which are basically projections from the mind. So I can develop complete disinterestedness, and I can cultivate that vairagya, and I can cultivate that viveka. And the more viveka and vairagya I have, the more I am able to own myself, the more I am able to realize my true nature and the actual level of freedom. So instead of going from less freedom to more freedom, I take a quantum leap to infinite freedom. So infinite freedom is not something that I attain, but infinite freedom is something that I discover. So discovering infinite freedom, which is basically discovering what I am truly, requires a gradual progress of developing the inner wealth called Atmalabha. Regarding the inner wealth, there is a very cute story between Ramana Maharshi and Sheshadri Swami. I will tell that, and I will complete the class and maybe have a few questions if there is time. There was a person who went to Tiruvannamalai. There was Sheshadri Swami who was there, and also Ramana Maharshi was also living in the same time. So he went and asked for some blessings or some help, some guidance from Sheshadri Swami. Sheshadri Swami said, I am only having 100 rupees salary. There is that, that yogi, that person there, he is having 1,000 rupees salary. You go to him, he will be able to help you better. Yeah? Inner wealth. So we can think more on these lines and try to understand what is inner wealth. And a few things that can help us to cultivate this. Two topmost things that will help us to cultivate a very high level of inner wealth in terms of Atmalabha. One is pranayama. Pranayama means you also need to do a little bit of asanas, otherwise pranayama won't work. Pranayama supported with indriya nigraha or diet, a proper diet and regulated enjoyments. Tapasya. Tapasya, pranayama, these two things will, I would consider this as the top two practices for developing inner wealth that will show immediate results while you are now, and also the impressions left by the tapasya, impressions left by the practice of pranayama, the subtle impression left in the mind by the practice of japa and concentration and dhyana and all that, that impression will come with you after death also. So that is, it's never too late to start that. It is never too late to, even if you have some medical condition, based on that, each person can design their own little micro tapasya. A very simple thing. When you are eating, when you are thirsty, you are drinking water, right? You feel the thirst, you are drinking water. You have the glass of water, you are thirsty. Look at the thirst, don't drink water. Look at the thirst consciously for 10 seconds. Just feel the thirst. I'm thirsty. I feel thirsty because of my association with body. Use your viveka. Think about you are the witness to the thirsty person, and after you drink, there is a satisfaction. You are a witness to the satisfaction, but you remain the same, thirsty and not thirsty. It keeps alternating, and again there is a craving for the next mouth. You drink, there is a satisfaction. You are a witness to the satisfaction. Again there is the urge for the next mouth. Feel the urge. You are a witness to the urge. Then you drink. Mindfully you drink that. There is, so you see, you are the common factor between craving and satisfaction, thirst and satisfaction of thirst. Both come and go, but you are the common factor. You can do this by not allowing yourself to be driven by the thirst energy. Similarly, you are hungry. The food is there. Eat slowly. There is a rush to satisfy the hunger. Look at that rush. Don't satisfy the rush. Refuse to be driven by the rush for hunger. These are all micro tapasya. You are still eating. You will not become unhealthy. You are not starving. You are going to eat. The food is there. Nobody is going to snatch your plate away. So stop and cultivate some freedom from hunger. Don't let the hunger drive you to eat. Don't let the thirst drive you to drink. Similarly, when you want to take a deep breath, instead of that, too, slow exhale. Every time you want to relax, when you're very frustrated, you want to take a deep breath, always take a slow, deep breath and look at the frustration. A slow, deep breath will keep you very conscious and at the same time give you more energy at the end of the deep breath than taking a big sigh of relief. A big sigh of relief will give you a certain kind of a dullness. Instead of that, if you take a deep breath and exhale slowly, at the end of it, you will have more awareness and you will have more sense of light and you will have more command over your consciousness. You can try that. And learn pranayama properly. And if you do some, basic kumbhaka, inhale, hold for 4 counts, exhale slowly, hold outside for 4 counts, like that. I said pranayama does not work. Yes, I said that, and I also said pranayama does not work without diet. You need to take care of some diet and asanas. You have to practice some asanas. So some basic asanas, some stretches, some loosening, and then pranayama. Tasmin sati swasa praswasyor gati vicheda pranayama. Having accomplished an asana, practice of pranayama, Yoga Sutra. So based on that, I said. So like this, you can, you can introduce micro tapasya, micro pranayamas, micro japa before starting a task. Say Rama, 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 Rama a few times and then start a task. Any task. You start from one task, move to the next task. Remember. Remember, chant a mantra or remember a shloka. So instead of when you're bored, instead of every time you feel like taking your phone, you feel the urge. Look at the urge, feel the urge. Use the power of the urge to take the phone. Use that force in the urge to chant a mantra a few times. Take a breath and then take the phone. Try to do that with every time you are driven towards something. Every time you are driven towards something, good or bad, doesn't matter. Every time you feel a drive, a rush towards something, cultivate a choice over that rush and see if you can divert that rush into something conscious. And then whatever you have to do, do it consciously with a kind of a reduced rush and with an enhanced level of choice over that rush. You make this a habit in everything that you do, in every time that you are awake. You will see that you will be applying this in your dream also. So then you have developed that samskara. So when you do a same thing in the dream, you know that it has become a samskara and you can pat yourself in the back and do more, get motivated and do more. You don't really have to go somewhere. You can always withdraw. You can always make a micro sannyasa, micro withdrawal in the middle of all the things. Then you will see that you have a phenomenal kind of a command over your faculties. It will start developing a lot and you will have a huge sense of freedom and a sense of security, an instinctive sense of security and a reduced level of helplessness. You can start experiencing it within 1 or 2 days of starting these practices. Please try that and let me know. If there is any question, I think if we still have some time left, I can answer the question. There is something on the chat here. Every time, remember how this action, speech, thoughts, etc. profits your soul, our soul. Beautiful. Correct, Ji.
See, it was very good, the talk, but
Thank
I
you.
think there may be a need to have this talk maybe periodically, once in a month or once in a
Sure.
fortnight, depending on your convenience.
We can leave where
My
we
another
we can catch
question
up where
is,
we left.
when we talk about this causal body, every time it is said it is a causal body of ignorance. But when we have come to this kind of school of ancient wisdom, and when we have started reading Gita and listening to discourses, does it change or does it remain the same? Is my doubt.
The causal body is told as what when you before you come here?
Ignorance. Everybody keeps saying causal body is ignorance.
It is a habit. It is the habit of adhyasa, superimposing the sense of self and on what is not you, seeing what is not you as yourself. For example, considering this body as yourself, you stay in front of mirror and say, "How am I looking today? Oh, I'm looking good." That feeling comes, right? Taking your identity and your role as yourself. Who are you? I am so and so father. I am such and such a, I am this,
No, that is
manager or
correct. That
whatever.
is understood. My question is, like, we have come to school of
That is the
ancient
causal body.
wisdom. We have come to Ma Manise and learned certain things. Does it change or does not change? Is my question.
It changes the samskaras that are based on the causal body and makes you more capable of confronting this ignorance through the vichara.
Oh, okay, okay. Thank you so much. Samskaras are the most important.
Yes,
Okay,
developing
okay.
sat
Samskaras and
samskara,
vasanas.
developing the
Vasanas.
sat
Okay.
samskara, the
Okay.
samskaras that will take you and make you more qualified for jnana. So
Okay, okay.
that is
Clear.
inner wealth. Yes.
Very clear. Thank you. Very kind of.
That's why I use the word atma labha.
A beautiful word, Atmalabha.
From the Shastra.
We are
From the
Atma
Acharyas.
Lobha or
Nothing
something
is
like
ours.
that now. Atma Labha.
From Vishaya Lobha, we have to go to Atma Labha. Right. Okay. I think we can finish the class.
Thank you so much, Yogeshwar ji. That was really very interesting. In fact,
I will just finish with a small chanting, usual Purnamada. I was waiting for permission. So if it is over,
yes,
then I'll do the Purnamada.
Sir,
Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamadachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vasishyate Om Shanti 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 Om Tatsate. Yes, done. Now you can.
thank you so much, Yogeshwar ji. That was really very interesting. More than just interesting, I think it gave us many tips. But before we do anything else, I'd like to throw open the floor to any questions that people might have, because I'm sure that some questions would have come up. This is something that is very practical that we can practice on a day-to-day basis, especially since we all are influenced, almost all of us are influenced by our desires and our lower identity. So if you have any questions that come up from there, from Yogeshwar ji's talk, please do ask now. Your participation will definitely enhance your experience and the value you take back to life.
If you think about this, if you get questions later, you can send it to me and write them down, and we can address them in the next class also, some other class when we have, if at all we
Yes.
have.
Well,
And you
I
can
would
bring the
hope
questions to my Monday class. Monday, there is this Nishta class is there. You can bring the questions to the Nishta class. I'll address there.
Are the Nishta classes happening through the School of Ancient Wisdom?
School of Ancient Wisdom, Monday, 6 to 7.
Wonderful.
The playlist
Well,
is there on YouTube also.
Okay. I have a question, Yogeshwar ji.
Yes.
When you spoke about, I just jotted down some notes also. Take a deep breath and exhale slowly. The act of, like Kumbhaka, hold and exhale slowly will start kind of centering your being. And you mentioned micro tapasya, micro pranayama, micro japa. So could you just elaborate a little more on that before I go to my next question?
It's basically developing a choice over the movement of prana. That's what it is about. So whenever there is a natural urge, it is controlled by prana, and the prana movement is controlled by programming. So instead of letting the program take over, we are developing a certain kind of choice over it, and especially micro japa, I mean, micro time is a wonderful idea. Yes.
Yes, I thought so.
Yeah. So what we are trying to do is not allowing yourself to be carried away by an urge, not allowing the programmed system in the background, the chitta, to take over the buddhi. That's what we are trying to do here.
Understood.
Right.
So an example of that you said was, maybe we can just pause for a moment and take a few, we can probably breathe in a controlled manner, hold our breath and then breathe out slowly. That's one.
Right.
And micro japa would be like
Micro
maybe
japa gives you
chanting
choice
your
over thoughts. If you're carried away in a train of thoughts, in a japa, what we are doing is we are choosing what to think.
Okay. Can you give us an example of a micro japa?
For example, you are having in your mind, you're going, taking a walk, and in a tea shop or somewhere, a song that you like is playing, some movie song. Kabhi, kabhi, mere dil mein, one song goes, and then your mind picks it up. And then suddenly you find yourself singing kabhi, kabhi, without any, you didn't even think, it's just going on in your head. You sit for Gayatri Japa and kabhi, kabhi, mere dil mein comes. Okay. So what you do is, when you recognize yourself humming something coming up from the back and you're humming something, right? I'm giving an example. You watch that urge inside, don't counter it. You feel that urge inside to sing that. There is an attraction or a pleasure principle involved. There is an attraction to the tune. You feel that attraction and you relax your participation in that. There, but you don't put energy into that. And the mind that is inside that singing, no, there is a mind or intelligence inside that attraction that will become self-conscious. And then instead of, so within that song, within the joy, so the purpose of that song is what? That pleasure, that joy of the music tune. So superimpose your Ishtadevata on the joy. It is your Ishtadevata. For example, let us say if it is Shiva, it is Shiva who is the Ananda that comes by singing this tune. It is Shiva who is the Ananda of this tune, who is the harmony of this rhythm, who is existing as the joy of this music. So you see the joy as Shiva, and from there you shift to the mantra. Shiva, 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 Shiva. An example. So what you do is you turn the tide of the natural flow of thought to the direction that you want. You are not practicing, there is a distracted mind, and you are not imposing the mantra on the singing mind. I want the mind to shut up this song and I want to do this mantra. No. The mind that is singing the song should turn to the mantra. You have to practice it there at that level. Where the mind remembers and wants to sing the song, there the mind should start wanting to do the japa. And you will experience a change, you will experience a turn of the tide inside, and you will have a completely different inner experience once the tide changes. And then you sustain that for a few seconds, then leave it. The circuit that makes you sing the song will kind of snap, and then this will come. You can experience it literally. It's like a shift.
Yeah.
This is a practice, micro japa.
So from micro pranayama, the breathing part. Micro japa is what we just discussed. Micro tapasya, an example, please.
Micro tapasya, water, thirsty, drinking water, drink it slowly. Watch the thirst. There is water you can drink now. Put it in the mouth, keep the water in the mouth, feel the thirst, don't drink. Wait for 5 seconds and then drink. An example.
Very interesting. I mean, really, I think it's like an emotional and spiritual scientist.
It's what you're
I
doing
feel
full
like
time.
I'm just not that.
Because I found out that what is causing dissipation, especially this, this, everything around us nowadays is tuned to hooking our limbic system. So we have to take control of that. Otherwise, we cannot survive the next years that we have to live. We can't. The consciousness will be
No,
completely hijacked.
yes, I get that. Especially now that we are in the world, there's a lot more physical disturbances happening. I suppose it becomes all the more crucial that we practice what you just mentioned. I have a corollary question.
Right.
That I do know that sometimes when we see, I also try to practice a sattvic diet, and sometimes when we have food cravings, especially my family members and others, and they say by association, it becomes easier. Now, suppose I'm associating with people who are craving, let's say, a pizza or so on, and sometimes you just give in. You don't kind of hold the sense too, harshly, saying that no, you don't give in to those um, rajasic foods, for example, or tamasic foods. So if you do hold on for too long, the angst or the desire to have that may suddenly spring one fine day and maybe may overpower you. How do you handle these situations? What is the
Very good,
perspective?
very good. Excellent. So this is where we have the concept of Dhamma and Shama. Dhamma is Bahyendriya Nigraha. Shama is Mano Nigraha. So what we do is, after you have restrained yourself at the level of action, you process that inner angst. So you have to divert that energy or transform the quality of that inner urge into something that is more harmonious. So one thing I used to do is, I try to get satisfaction. Suppose if you are fasting on a fasting day, there is a hunger and there is a desire for food. I will convert the desire for food into a prayer that all those who are hungry must get food. And the satisfaction of all those who are eating, all that satisfaction is mine because I am the Atma in everybody. When you do that contemplation at the level where the hunger arises, there is an immediate sense of expansion, and the whole mind becomes sattvic. That is one way. Each one can discover their own way of Shama. Shama is Mano Nigraha, where the mind is taken back from the direction where it is going and established in equanimity. Without that, external restriction will create a huge conflict and tension. True. Always Dhamma, then Shama. It's very important.
Very interesting. That's really very.
Somebody has written a point here. Excuse me. Just one thing I want to address. Causal body is part of the internal body. I would say causal body is the fulcrum of the internal body. The internal body is built around the causal body. Causal body is a figure of speech. It's not a body. It is just a force.
One more question by Aparnaji was, what is the name of your YouTube channel, Yogeshwarji?
Here, School of Ancient Wisdom, that Monday class.
Oh, I see, Monday class.
Swati ji will give you. It is a playlist called Nishta. If you go to School of Ancient Wisdom's YouTube channel, there are a lot of playlists. One of the playlists is Nishta every Monday. So it is 1 year classes are there. And if you join it is the same login details and for the Zoom class, which becomes the YouTube video after the class. And I usually don't come on video. I stay on audio so that I'm able to think better. This is too much of sensory stimulation. I'm not able to be in touch with my inner processes much. So in Nishta class, there will be only Yogeshvar, not my face. And I usually close my eyes and teach.
Wonderful. The truth to be told, this past time I'm I'm hearing you, Yogeshwarji, and I think it's like a hidden gem for me. And
Thank you.
it'll be lovely. Definitely a hidden gem, and it'll be lovely, if Swati can arrange for a workshop for all of us, because I think we're just scratching the surface with today's satsang. There's a treasure trove of awareness and potential for consciousness growth with a person like yourself who's really been on the path. It's becoming quite obvious. We'd love to have a workshop with you on a weekend.
Definitely. I have been to that School of Ancient Wisdom campus. It's beautiful.
Yes, it is. It is a blessed place. As Mom Anizia would always, in fact, she was guided to this place after searching for a location, not only around India, but around the world. When she came here within 10 minutes, she chose
Yeah,
the
yeah.
place.
She told me, Swati told me about the mystic aspects of finding that School of Ancient Wisdom
Location.
place.
Yes.
Okay.
So now if anybody else has any other question, please do speak up. Otherwise, we will do the Loka Samasta. It was indeed, as Malati ji has put it was an excellent session. In fact, it opens many doors for our personal growth also, with more such sessions in the future, maybe in a series. And Janaki Ramji also mentioned, please have this talk often. Definitely, I think many of us would second that. Okay, since we don't have any more questions coming in, we now come to the end of our satsang today. Really a wonderful, eye-opening satsang by Yogeshvar ji, for which we're really very grateful. So now we come to our last part, which is the Loka Samasta. Please remember your loved ones, your friends, or people around you who might need support through these collective prayers, because there is power in collective prayers. As we all start linking up with each other through these prayers, the strength of these prayers are manifold, and I've experienced it myself at a personal level. So just think of what kind of breakthrough you might want for your friends or loved ones, or be it health, be it relationships, be it finances, could be many things. Please remember their name and what they need, what kind of prayer support they might need. Also, let us send out these prayers to the world at large in these trying moments of transformation to a wonderful future. At the moment, a lot of equipoise is required, a lot of wisdom and peace is the need of the hour. So let us send out those vibrations as we do the Loka Samasta. For that, please sit straight with your back, neck, and head aligned. Let the pranashakti flow through properly. Connect with one another. Take a nice deep breath. And let go. Observe the silence within, the language of the soul that connects all of us to the source. Loka samasta sukhino bhavantu. Loka samasta sukhino bhavantu. Loka samasta sukhino bhavantu. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Tat Sat Brahmarpanamastu. Thank you so much, Yogeshwarji. Looking forward to you once again. And thank you all for being here. Till next Thursday, same time, same place. Take care and God bless. And wish you a happy Safala Ekadashi, a very auspicious day today when I'm fasting.
Thank you, and Merry Christmas as well.
Very much so. Very Merry Christmas to all of you. Swati? Is Swati around? While this program is shutting off, you're free to exit. Thank you for being here.